That's recording. Hi, welcome to my channel, Miss Borderline. Thanks for joining me today. Let's get on with today's case. Now, this is one of the worst cases of child sexual abuse and sexual depravity that I have ever come across. And I have worked with many pedophiles in the course of my career as a forensic mental health nurse. It took a while for me to decide to even cover this case because looking into it and researching the case was very difficult. So before we move on, let me just get my disclaimers, copyright and fair use disclaimers out of the way. So this video is for educational purposes only. All content is freely available on the internet. No copyright is intended. And all the content used in this video that is not my own before we start, let's get the copyright and fair use disclaimer out of the way. This video is for educational purposes only. All content is freely available on the internet. No copyright is intended, and credit is given to the originators for all the content used in this video that is not my own. So with that out of the way, let's get started on this one. Kamarie Holland from Georgia in the US was a 5-year-old girl fondly nicknamed Princess by her father Corey. Now Kamarie was reported missing by her mother Kristie Siple, also known as Kristy Hoskins, from her home in Alabama on December the 13th, 2021. Now Siple told police that she went to bed at midnight and woke to find that Kamarie had gone and the front door was open. Now at this point, the investigation into the missing child began and everybody started to search for little Kamarie, and news bulletins were appealing for help in finding her. However, sadly, the lifeless, broken body of little Kamarie was found later that night in a vacant house in Pheonix City, Alabama. She had been brutally sodomized, raped and strangled. Now, the abandoned house was previously owned by 37-year-old Jeremy Tremaine Williams, and he was quickly identified in the case as a suspect. Williams was tracked down and found in a hotel with his uncle, who had arrived there just 30 minutes before the authorities did. Let me just make it clear that the uncle was cleared of any involvement in this case. Williams was subsequently arrested, and it transpired he was known to Siple, which is Kamarie's mother. There had been no confirmation it was an intimate relationship, but we know they did have a relationship with each other. Now, meanwhile, the whole community and the police were searching for little Kamarie. Siple had been giving media interviews, and we learned that she did not have custody of Kamarie, and that Kamarie Holland, the father, had full custody of her, and she was just on that overnight visit with Siple when she seemingly vanished. Now, in copious media interviews, Siple, 35, called her daughter a blessing and told interviewers that she lived for her daily, and that you could not harm that little girl because she was so innocent, she was so smart, she was perfect. Now, 2 weeks after the arrest of Williams, Siple was also charged with Kamarie's murder during the course of kidnapping, sodomy and rape. Now, Kristie is also accused of agreeing with another person, i.e. Jeremy, to pay her for sexual intercourse and sodomy with her minor daughter. Let me just get that out there. She got paid. She rented out her daughter, her 5-year-old daughter, for sex with this man sex and sodomy and rape for an undisclosed amount of money. Siple is also currently charged with chemical endangerment of a child in a 2018 case where she failed to present. There's not much more information on that, on the exact details of that charge. Allegedly, a witness came forward after Williams' arrest to say that she had been with Williams, seemingly just hours after he had already raped and murdered little Kamarie. And this individual reports that she went back to Williams's home after a friend recommended she stay there the night as she could not get home. Once in the residence and in the company of Williams, he allegedly prevented her from leaving the house and sodomized her while calling her kamari. He allegedly also made the comment to her, "I just taught a 5-year-old how to give the best oral sex." Absolutely sickening if this is true. This is not Williams' first involvement in alleged crimes of child abuse. In 2005, Williams was accused of killing his own daughter, Nordia Trenice. She was just 1 month old, although some news reports are saying that she was a year old, from blunt force trauma. At the time, Williams was never charged due to lack of evidence. He was stationed in the North Pole with the Air Force, with Nordia's mother at the time. Alaska detectives have since said that they are going to reopen that case. Williams was also previously charged with child abuse in 2009 for allegedly immersing a 3-year-old boy's body in a pot of boiling water. Now, he was acquitted 3 years later after he argued at the time that the boy had pulled the water on top of himself. Now, following these additional charges, that all this was coming out, the Russell County Circuit Court Judge David Johnson issued a gag order on law enforcement, attorneys and possible witnesses in the Holland case. I just want to put it out there that all the information I have gathered for this video was prior to the gag order being applied. Better just get that out there. So, this case screams paedophilic sexual sadism to me. Williams is a depraved human being. He allegedly paid another despicable human being, I cannot refer to her as a mother, I won't refer to her as a mother, to rent her daughter to him to be used and abused in the worst kind of way imaginable. He used a ligature to murder a 5-year-old baby, raping and sodomizing her little body after death, and filming it. You've heard me right. He filmed himself raping and sodomizing little Kamarie after she had died. Now, the charges against William include a capital murder of a victim younger than 14, capital murder in the course of kidnapping, capital murder while raping a victim younger than 12, capital murder while committing sodomy, producing child pornography, abusing a corpse under those same circumstances, first-degree sex trafficking involving a victim under 18, and conspiring to commit human trafficking. Now, if Williams is convicted, he could face the death penalty. Me personally deserves it. Now, Williams entered a plea of not guilty by reason of mental disease or defect. Now, he will now undergo a psychological evaluation conducted by the state of Alabama. Now, the jury trial is scheduled. Let me just say the jury trial is scheduled for September the 16th, 2022. That's this year. Now, Kamarie's dad, Corey, understandably, is obviously distressed, and I can't even explain how he's feeling at the moment. But he's campaigning at the moment for it to be illegal to claim mental illness in Alabama following heinous crimes against children. Now, the current Alabama law states that every defendant has the legal right to request a psychiatric evaluation. Now, Corrie told Newsleader 9, "My daughter's gone, but behind her name, which I am going to keep relevant, I'm going to fight for any other kid who is put in this predicament." Now, I've racked my brain for answers. I've asked myself, why would a mother do that to their child? And I have no answers. Beside the fact that she's either a psychopath with no feelings or empathy towards others, treating others, her own child, like an object, or, well, I don't think there could be an alternative, but to be honest, some might say evil. But what does evil mean when you really analyse it? The description of a psychopath that could do this to their child, or someone that has the devil in them. I find it much easier to ask myself, how could Williams do this to a child? Now, he's a paedophile. End of. The American Psychiatric Association, APA, has included paedophilia in its Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, which is the DSM-5 at the moment, of mental disorders since 1968. Now, the ICD-10, which is the International Classification of Diseases, also lists paedophilia as a mental disorder. Now, I can completely relate to Kamarie's father in trying to get the law changed in regards to citing paedophilia as a mental disorder. Now, in society, I'm sure we can all agree that paedophilia is not acceptable. An adult having any kind of sexual contact with a child is illegal and wrong. I obviously agree with this, and I also think that paedophilia is a sexual preference, much like homosexuality is a sexual preference. Now, I know there are individuals in the world who believe homosexuality is also morally wrong and not acceptable in society, but that's not classified as a mental disorder, is it? Kamarie was later asked at Sunset Memorial Gardens. The service was hosted by a great uncle, Pastor T, Brian Hill of Indiana. Now, Russell County Sheriff Heath Taylor and Russell County Chief Assistant DA Rick Chancey, who are investigating and prosecuting Williams, stood side by side with more than 200 family and friends at Kamarie's funeral. Now, Pastor Hill's poignant words were echoing around the service as he said, "I know there are some who sit here even today who will even try to say, why did God allow this to happen?" He went on to say that evil has entered our community, evil has affected our family, and I wish I could stand here and tell you that the world was going to get better, but I'm here to tell you it will not. Not surprisingly, Kristie was not at the service for her daughter, but other family members related to her were, including Kristie's mother, which was Kamarie's grandmother. I mean, what a difficult situation that must have been for Corey. I can't imagine the emotional state of this poor man's mind. I've tried to put myself in this father's situation. I can honestly say I don't think I would have been able to have her side of the family there at all. And I don't know what sort of type of relationship Corey had with Siple's side of the family. So the two were separated and Corey had custody. Now, my heart goes out to Corey and all Kamarie's family and loved ones. And I hope they get justice for this beautiful little girl. I really do. Thank you for joining me today for another true crime story. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you soon for another case. Also, if you want to look at my book, which is on my personal struggles with mental health, it's called Borderline, and it's available from Amazon. Just a quick plug there. and you can get all the details of that in the description of my YouTube channel. So for now, toodaloo.